Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be looking at Script Premium Artists Watercolor pencils. So I actually got these last week at Aldi, and they were only £2.99, so I figured I would try these out, because I'd never seen them before in Aldi. So you can see them on camera. I will open them up and test them in a second. And I also got a mixed media pad, again the same brand, being sold at Aldi. And also, they also had a case of brushes that you can see here. They had acrylic ones and watercolors, but these are the ones I went with. So I'm just going to speed it up, but I'm going to create a quick colour swatch on camera just to test these. I will say that they went down quite nicely, even dry, especially for pencils bought at such a cheap price. Better than I expected, actually. The lead itself also felt quite hard, but not in the sense of it would ruin your page or tear through your paper or anything, but it felt like it wouldn't break very easily. You can probably tell on camera I'm drawing these from like almost horizontal. So part of me was thinking, is this going to snap the nib because of the extreme angle, let's call it? But none of them did. In fact, no, I take that back actually. One of the nibs did break, but it was because I was struggling to get all the pencils out of the actual pan. So the way I was getting these out was by pressing the nib down to sort of cause the back of the pencil to lift up. It was just the easiest way of getting them out of the case. And when I did this on the brown one, I think it snapped. That was more my own fault. So if that's an issue for you, you could always buy a separate pencil case because maybe the tin's not ideal. So next I'm actually testing the watercolor side of them. I do think they work really well on their own dry, but obviously the reason I bought them was because they're watercolor pencils. So I'm just applying a thin layer of water, or almost quite a dry layer of water, just to see how well it works. And I didn't have any problems with this. I'm not doing anything fancy, any fancy techniques or anything like that. But overall it does seem to run into the paper quite well. But the paper again was fairly cheap. It's 250 GSM mixed media. But because I wasn't strapping this to a board and taping it on the edges like you would with some watercolours, I did get a little bit of bowing in areas where I had applied more water. But that was to be expected. So all the water bits went down fine. And in case you're wondering what I'm doing below those swatches, I wanted to just test the blendability of them. So the colours are pretty similar. I've done quite a nice blending range. On the top one, I've tried to blend the pencils together even whilst they're dry. And then below that, I sort of kept them separate. So I haven't blended them into each other because I wanted to know if using water alone I could brush those into one another. Hopefully that makes sense. It definitely worked better on the ones that I'd blended together dry. But I'm sure there's absolutely loads of techniques you could use. Again, I don't use this often, so I don't know many techniques. But it was still fun having a go. Last of all, I wanted to test whether I could actually layer these once they'd dried. So what I'm doing is I'm laying down some red, and I'm going to wet that to smooth it all out and get a nice finish. And then I come back after that has dried and I go over it again with a second layer of the dry pencil. It didn't look to layer up as well as I was hoping. On camera it doesn't look too bad. It does look like it made a slight difference. But I worked into it quite a lot, and to be honest, it wasn't that noticeable. Okay, so I've already tested them. I just wanted to give a final few notes and also test them out on something else. So I've never actually drawn a butterfly before, but it's something I thought would be really easy to do. And to be honest, I was wrong. It is so difficult trying to make it symmetrical, and it took me a lot longer than I expected. I'm not sure whether this is really the best example of using watercolour pencils, but I gave it a go anyway. The plan here was to just put down a lot of colours and blend them into one another in a nice way, and then just neaten it up with a fine liner or brush pen. So it's not fully watercolours, I do use a black outline to neaten it up. I will put a link in the description box below to the image I used as reference for this, because I didn't come up with a pattern for this butterfly. So running through the prices, I mentioned earlier the pencils were £2.99 and I got 12. So that works out at 25p each. The mixed media pad was £3.99 and has 25 sheets in. And the brushes I think were £5, and it came with 10 brushes and a case. And overall I was really happy with everything I'd bought, especially considering the price. However, the brushes were still okay, and they weren't exactly expensive. but they did constantly lose little hairs. At first I thought maybe it's just because it's the first time I used them, but I kept using the same one and pulling out any loose hairs that were sticking out, and it just kept on happening. So yeah, the brushes didn't seem too good. I did also buy some watercolor tubes to go with these, and I'm going to test those out in another video. You can check out my video I made last week as well, where I actually show you everything that I bought from Aldi in terms of art supplies, not my food shopping. But yeah, take a look at that and you can see everything I bought, and I break the price down a little bit there. So to summarise, the watercolour pencils are pretty good. The pad's not bad either. The brushes are not too good. The only downside for me is I would prefer to have more than 12 colours in the watercolour pencils. I find it quite limiting. That's why I tried to draw something that was more like, rainbow colours. I'm going to leave it at that, and I hope you guys found this useful. I don't know how long these supplies are around for in Aldi, which is why I've tried to make a video as fast as I can for it. So if you are interested in trying them out, make sure you don't leave it too long. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried these or any other cheap art supplies out and what you think. And as always, make sure you hit the thumbs up button and be sure to subscribe for more content, and I will try to review the watercolour tubes over the coming weeks as well. Thanks everyone.